Hey everyone, I get a lot of questions about reversing chronic disease when we have a predeposition of a certain chronic disease on our genes. Is it possible at all to reverse it when it's so coded on our genes? Well, when I was in high school, I was taught that genes are hard coded, and when there is a coding for it, you should get the expression of it. It's a done deal. But over the past decades, we saw that epigenetics show that the genes need a certain environment to express. Now, almost every week, there is a new publication about a typical gene that accounts for a certain type of chronic disease. And maybe you had a test for a certain type of chronic disease, or maybe you tested your whole DNA, or that is possible at this moment for, let's say, $500 or $1,000. But if you see that you have a gene for a certain type of chronic disease, does it have to be expressed in some time in your future life? Well, no, that doesn't have to be the case. Even when you have a predeposition of a chronic disease, it is a probability. And when you have this probability, you can make this probability higher, or you can lower the probability. You see, when there are identical twins that at birth they have identical genes, and they are separated at birth, and those studies are available, and they grow up in a way different environment, in different states, with different families, with different caregivers, different schools, different food, then within 10, 20 years, they have no identical set of genes anymore. They adapted to that particular environment that they live in. And that's only logical, right? Because when we change to a different environment with different conditions, we have to be able to thrive and survive. So we need different proteins, different chemicals to enable us to thrive or to survive. So it's only logical. Actually, we only know that over the past decades with the epigenetics, that the environment of the cell is way more important than the coding itself. Now, also from long studies over big populations, we have one large study here in Europe, but also Harvard has a long behavioral study to see what type of behaviors are really making a difference for health. Now, for instance, in this particular Harvard study, it was shown that the joy prevails over genes to be a predictor for chronic diseases. So we know, for instance, that when we smoke or drink, that is a real good predictor to get chronic disease. It's a way better predictor than having a predeposition of a chronic disease on your genes. But also, when you experience joy in your life, when you feel happy, there is a sense of happiness within yourself, especially the happiness of a solid relationship, of connection, feeling that you can count on your partner, and the other way around, that there's really a strong connection. That is a way better predictor for reversing chronic disease or maintaining health, or when you have a predeposition of a chronic disease, that the onset of that chronic disease is way later in life or doesn't happen at all. Because those genes need a certain environment to come to an expression, to become reality for you. And these are environments that are inflammatory. There's a lot we can do to reduce that inflammation so we lower the probability that those genes that might be present within us are not coming to an expression in our lifetime. Actually, that we steer our health. So that is important to know because we can lower this probability ourselves with our behavior, with our lifestyle, with our mental states. The mental state of feeling love, feeling connection, feeling joy, feeling happiness, having equanimity of mind. So that was it for today. See you next time.